Howdy doody friends, and welcome to the Mad Painter Show. Today, we shall be discussing our childlike self. Remember how it was when you were a kid? Okay, I get some of us may have had traumatized childhoods, but let's think about those fun times, the innocence of being a child. And if you haven't had that, look at that in other children. There is a freedom to that. We need to tap back into that freedom of being like a child. That is like the peace and the joy like that's coming in with this relationship that I be talking y'all with our daddy. And when I mean daddy, Father God. Because this is so where this particular topic came from. You know, I was doing a little bit of reading. And in Matthew 18:3-5, there's this part where Jesus is, I believe he's talking to the disciples. And let me go with you because I'm on another section and I'm trying to go back and remember what it was. They was asking something along the lines, who's the greatest in the kingdom or something along that, something like that. And Christ called over a kid and he was like, I tell you solemnly, and I read this from the Jerusalem Bible. This is my version. I have other versions, but this is my main version. So in the Jerusalem Bible, it's worded like this. I tell you solemnly, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And so in considering that, I went into like, okay, well, so what's up with the kids? And so when I got like kind of digging a little bit deeper into that, I recognized that one, there's an innocence with children. Okay, and then you have this imagination. They have this grand imagination, and then they believe what you're telling them, because you could be telling them some off the wall. I remember when I was little, and my auntie, we was watching Conan the Barbarian. It's either Conan the Barbarian or Red Sonja. It was Red Sonja, and I love that because she was like a bad mamma jamma. You know, she was slicing and dicing folks with the sword because she was like a woman gladiator. So it was a scene that I haven't seen it in such a long time, but I think they either cut somebody's head off or somebody had taken their head off, and my auntie was like, you could do that too. So I'm sitting there like, yo, for real? Hold on, let me try that, because I could sit my head. And as you could see, I couldn't take my head off it. But I believed I could. I believed it so strong, I was trying it. So this is the other part about it. And here it is that we're hearing something, and we're talking about family connections here. So when dad tells us something, it's like, yeah, okay. And believing that and following action or doing whatever it is that we need to do and believing in whatever it is that we need to be believing in, because, you know, he asks us that we believe. And in going in that belief conversation, I was speaking to my mother about this earlier. And as far as in witches, right? So when I was a kid, this whole thing with witches, and it was like they were real. It was magical. Like you had Glinda the Good Witch, and then you had the green one who was mad about these shoes, which I totally understand because them was some bad shoes. So it's like, oh, there are these witches and this magical women. But then I get a little bit older and it's like, oh, that's not real. That's all just fantasy stuff. But then when I get to college, it's like, no, they really do exist. And it's a whole religion of it. It's like, so you mean to tell me y'all flip-flopping on this stuff? One minute it's real, the next minute it's not real. And then come to find out it really is real. So let me get back to my note. So we also have this listen and obey, because if God, because in part of this, just in case if this is your first video, in part of discovering our best self, or which is in coming to, we see ourselves as these kings and queens, etc., etc. Who are you getting your guidance from? I feel You know, if you're going to especially be claiming yourself as a king or queen or somebody in the kingdom, why not get the information from that which is in the kingdom? Yes, Panthro. See, and his name is Panthro, Pharaoh Panthro Malcolm. He wants me to, he fetches. Go get it. So, I apologize. So in this, we are believing what Dad says, because since he isn't a liar, which I strongly feel that you should investigate this yourself. I'm slightly digressing from the notes, but this is a reason. I'm not totally doing it. So in looking at relationships, it's difficult to just upfront trust somebody. You don't know who they are. I mean, they could be telling you anything, and because you may like them or something, you may kind of, okay, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I kind of like you. I'm gonna give you a chance, and if you mess that chance up, that's different. So here's a situation where it's not like I'm like totally like, no, you go ahead and you trust everything he's saying, which, I mean, it will work out better to your benefit, but you need to get to know who and what this is that you're trusting, and how you get to know that is by reading his word, reading and seeing what it is that he says, because he makes all these promises. So here, what I've discovered, I'm going to get back to my notes shortly. What I've discovered is, in conversations, I talk to my mother all the time, and she watched various things. And in conversations and talking about what God said to certain people, what he is saying to them but not saying to us, etc., etc., etc. I'm not really, you got to bring it back, Bubba. I'm not really one of those people that's trying to debate you on anything. So, and especially if it doesn't serve a purpose in that debate, like, whatever. But in looking at this thing where here God is, because the main thing that came to me as far as in God having a plan, and I've not only heard from one person, I've heard from other people as far as God only speaking to a specific set of people as far as in him having this plan. But in reading his word and talking to him and experiencing it, it's one of those things where it's like, well, actually, he has a plan for a whole bunch of stuff. So he may have been speaking that to a particular set of people, but it's also showing his characteristics. And it's letting you know that he's a planning entity. And so a planning God, a planning Father. And so he has these plans for us, not to harm us, but to, prosper us, help us. So in this, and in especially this whole father situation, because it's not just an outside thing, even people that may adopt children, and they may not have that bloodline, so to speak, and I'm speaking on this as far as flesh. They may not have that bloodline connection, but there is a bond so deep, it is no longer just an outside connection. It is also an inner connection. And this is what we're talking about as far as our childlike self and looking at the Father and also the brother, because he's in connection with that. But, and looking at this, because here we have not only an example to look at, a way to think, but it's also such a deep bond that this is something on the inside of us, that it is on the inside. And just like I keep talking about that bat phone, and just in case this is your first time watching my videos, I feel like we got this whole bat. If you ever watched the old Batmans, and they had like the red phone, and Commissioner Gordon would pick it up and dial that phone hit one number. It wasn't calling 911. It wasn't calling the ambulance. It wasn't calling his wife. Do you know who that phone was calling? It wasn't calling Robin, and it was not calling, what's the man's name that the butler, I always remember his name, but right now I forgot. Yep, somebody just said it. That man's name. No, it was calling Batman. Batman. And so, just like that, this inside red phone that we have, and it's not just for an emergency. And that's the benefit. I don't think Commissioner Gordon could call Batman up like, bro, what you doing today? You think Wayne is available for a brunch? Cause I just need a little drink today and just chill. Cause my wife been driving me crazy. And Batman's like, I ain't got no time for that, bro. Did you see what just happened down here at Gotham in 23rd? But still. So anyway, this is like a thing where it's an inside-outside thing. So here we are. We're following. You didn't bring the toy back. You're following Dad. He's telling you what to do. This is where to listen, obey. And then have you ever given a kid something? They're like, thank you. Oh my God. Did you just want to give them more? So, in tapping into all of this, it is a total freedom. But there is a change that we have to make. There is a change that we have to make. So what I paid attention to, the difference between being an adult and being a child, because he wants us, even though we are adults, he wants us to start all over again and be re-educated. So it's like you're going to start back over as a child, even though you're grown. So now look at Adam and Eve. So here we have Adam and Eve who are, please read it. It's in Genesis if you have not read the Bible. These stories are amazing. They are really interesting. So here we have Adam and Eve, and they are adults. My mother and I have been picking at this story for years. I mean, just picking and dissecting, and it's the same story, but it's just layered. And then the people that we're listening to, they're just like peeling even more of the onion. It's like, oh my God, it's just getting even bigger and bigger. But the study is developing as far as people and God, and all that good stuff in between. So in looking at Adam and Eve, and here they are as adults, but they have mind, like a mind of a child. Everything is like a children. Everything is like a new experience. But what I've paid attention to, because it's just amazing how these stories are set up and how there's like a progression. There is like, it kind of starts off, you're right there in the face, but it's so far away. But then you get people, as it gets further and further in the stories, it's like it's getting closer and closer, yet it's seeming like the things that you're able to see and what you think is further and further away. And so Adam and Eve, this is just something that I've just been talking about. We've been talking about and considering. Here it is. These are adults. Adults typically know. They do the I know. Only time you will have like an adult willing to learn something more about what they know is if they were really interested and passionate and just hungry. If they wasn't, everything, I know that. I know. One of the simplest yet slightly not simple, but it is simple, because I don't necessarily want to label that as difficult, but it's definitely, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's not simple. But in looking at love, and in looking at, and I've mentioned this before as far as Gary Chapman, the love languages, and looking at love and how different people give and receive love, it's differently. And people will look at, and I know I said that, if I was writing a paper, I'd have to go back and erase some of them differently. But in looking at asking many people, males, females, many people, as far as love, do they know what love is? Yeah, I know what love is. Do they, as far as in their expression of love and in that concrete knowing of what love is, I've discovered they are not willing to learn more because they already know what it is. Do you know how much you're shutting down because you already feel like you? It is so much. I didn't finish that sentence. Because you already feel like you know. And I mean, there is the biblical knowing where there is a deep intimacy, and then there is something that's produced from that, because that's really what we want. That's what we want when we read it, and because it's them seeds that's being planted, and water, and God is giving the increase. But it's like, that's where we're going with this. So because you want to know what love is. You want to experience this love. It's like one of the greatest experience of love is experience the love of a parent, because this is your first experience of love. This is why sometimes a lot of people are damaged. People, if you've had a damaged childhood, please recognize hurt people hurt people. Your parents were probably also damaged and weren't able. You have a lot of people out there trying to do their best and don't know what to do. And you have a lot of people that are so hurt that they are raising you from their wombs the best way that they can. And so it's like we can no longer make this up as an excuse, because now we have love that is a parent, that is a brother, a relative, that is within us, outside of us, inside, outside. So in becoming like a child, because this been recognizing, because where I was going with that whole love situation and all that other stuff is because in being an adult, we feel like we know it's about, and in studying Aleister Crowley and do as thou wilt, and in asking God, like, what's up with that? Like, what's really wrong with doing as thou wilt? And he answered that. And I'm gonna say it like this. It's not so much as a right or a wrong thing. It's just that you are minimizing true life experiences to the fullness. There's an abundance of living. If God is a God of abundance, it's not just the material wealth and stuff that you eat and whatever that is. It is in living life abundantly. I mean, you can have absolutely nothing and be full of joy and peace, because, baby, I had been there. I don't have absolutely nothing right now. I got me a little something. I got me something. But I have been there where I've had absolutely nothing, but I still had the joy of God and the peace and his love. And it's I can go outside and there are jewels and riches and him speaking everywhere. And you have to open up to it. And it's how part of opening up to that is that childlike self. And being willing to learn, being thankful, open. So this imagination thing, in listening to Earl Nightingale has a lot of YouTube videos. He has a lot of books, etc., etc., etc. It's all about what your learning style is. And so, but in listening to a lot of his videos, he has a lot of techniques that'll help you stay focused and be in consideration of focus. So there is one of his videos, he spoke on writing down your ideas. What I've learned, because this can be as far as writing down your ideas or even as far as sketching, because I'm the type of artist, I need references. But there was a point of time where I did want to use, I want to draw more from my imagination. What I paid attention to, especially by me being a person who used more references, I had to sit down and actually make myself work my imagination. And so what I've learned in practicing and working my imagination after years of using so many references, I can look at stuff, and when I'm practicing and drawing stuff from my imagination, which I haven't done in a long time, and I probably should get back doing it as soon as I have an opportunity to do so. But in practicing things and sketching from my imagination, I could see if it's like something looked off or something, because every day you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at other people, and you're seeing like the different angles. Same thing with ideas. With ideas, you have to start somewhere. With the sketches, with whatever it is that you're starting from, that you feel that you lack, that you don't have inside of you, it's there. The thing is that you have to tap into it. The other thing is, Daddy, how do you do that? And also, and here it is that we're asking these questions. No, Panther looking at me like I'm crazy. Here it is, we're asking these questions, and along with asking the questions, we are in a place of information. Seek it out. Now, the flip, so you do, because in the midst of me saying that, this whole God tarries, but tarry not, I've mentioned this in past videos, we have to be willing to wait, because in waiting for God, because patience is a virtue, it really is. Because when you are, so one thing that I have learned is that people have all these titles or whatever. We're looking, I love art, and in looking at us being beings of artistic, creative genius. That might not be the proper words for that, but it's still like, and looking at and admiring all the beauty and the differences that we have in each and of the animals and everything. That's effing awesome. And at the same time, it's like, as I look at me creating my stuff and what I do, something created us. So in looking at this thing, like going to the creator that created you, you in this meat bag, let's talk about this. Because there are a lot of things where we are told to be limited in. We're told not to use our imagination. So now we have to be re-educated. And in part of being re-educated is being willing to go back to that childlike self. Not so much to the child self that we have, but if you didn't experience, think about what it was that you wanted to experience and be there. And in that, it's like you have to be willing to open up and believe that you can receive this, believe that these things can be shown to you, because it can be. If you're not, let's just say, if you're not believing in it, you're not going to be open to look out for it, to receive it. Because if you don't believe, if you already shut everything down to any of the possibilities, that's one thing that I've learned with the witches. It's just like that just kind of changed things. And then when you go into statistics, you have this possibility, probability, likely, etc., etc., etc. But that is not labeling it as, no, it didn't happen. That's totally impossible. So when you're looking at all these variations of, it could have happened. Let's just actually read, because I know I'm going a bit long on this, but I'm looking at this as a child, because I went back and forth on different things and going through a spiritual walk. Because before prepping for this conversation, I actually reflected back to my spiritual walking and starting off as a child and how I went. And it hit me like, yo, that's wild. Because around like my quote unquote teenage stage, that's when I went into what they say, like this, that, and the other. Is this even true? So in reading other religions and seeing what they were saying and being open to their perspective and having the foundation of the Bible, and even though I was like, okay, well, we're going to see what these other people got to say, and seeing how all of this was all connected, what I've really found out with these people who are, these religious people who are having these fights and that's all fleshly stuff. Because what I've discovered is, in being in this walk, no matter what it is, we're Christian, Muslim, Judaism, what, and I've seen what other people have said, and some stuff is like totally way off, but it's some stuff that's like, even like native stuff that I've read, it's like, yo, this is some of the same stuff than what God is talking about, and it's connected. And so actually be real willing to seek these things out yourself, because people say so much, and faith and fear comes by hearing. But faith comes by hearing the word of God. And this is how you know the difference, because I paid attention to how people leave off that other portion of that, because there's some whole other words that's after that. And so now we have to be willing to see. Let me tell you something. When looking at the 48 laws of power, the art of seduction, those manipulative things, there have been people who don't even believe in God and none of that, and study the Bible, and they study the Bible, and they've been able to gain manipulation tactics, all kind of stuff, because of their intent and how they went into, because it is a book of a whole bunch of stuff, but it's a book of the word of God that is showing a whole lot about relationship and his various relationships of different people and how they believe, but how God was consistent. And it's showing you how he's consistent, even though it's all these different people had done all these different things, but God loved them. So you may have people telling you, well, God will never talk to you because you did this or because you did that. He won't listen to you, or whatever the excuse of that is. But if you read and find out for yourself, you'll be blown away by the things that some of these people have done. And it's not so much to look at them at what they done in their flesh self, but to see what they done because of their relationship with God. And then it's like people have different relationships with God. And the real question is what is it that you believe, and where do you want your relationship to go? And it's not just a thing in God. Now, I done told you I wanted this Lamborghini. But in the midst of you experiencing this love it is also a way of teaching you how to really love your neighbor, how to really love others. And it starts off with the love of that, and he's showing you how to love yourself, and then how to love others. But all of this and this kid stuff, because I went way off too far. It's about 30 minutes. Hurry up and get this over with. But in looking at this, it's all in doing God's will. Because when you were a kid, even though you can do what you want to do, it was 9 times out of 10. Shut that up. And it's not that your parent didn't love you. They were disciplining you because that was showing you can't always do what you want to do. And so in doing God's will, it comes right back to this plan. We kids, we don't know nothing about this. And no matter how much you think you got in your pocket, your bank account you hold on to, whatever you think that you got as a security, baby, life be lifing. And anything can happen right here, right now, in a minute, a second, anything. And so now we need to know that we can be butt booty hole naked. And he has not forsaken us. He will not leave us. He loves us and be taking care of us. And even though at the moment, I don't know why we butt booty hole naked, and even if we are, and because of whatever situation, be thankful, because he's still there with us. And we have right now to give thanks. And Daddy. So I love you guys, because this has gone very, very far. God loves you even more. Find out why. Find out why. Because he's not angry. He's very loving. Very, very loving. But it's all about what you want to see. What you believe in. So, yeah, okay. Bye.